I just have a flashback of the very first time I felt love. I mean, for something other than, of course, my family members. And I was a kid and I had just got done playing a tournament, and I spent all of my weekends as a kid, like on the baseball field, on the softball field.
My first guess is someone who has become both a trusted colleague and a true friend. Meredith Grimes, a licensed clinical mental health counselor, grew up in a small town in Ohio where her love of softball shaped her earliest sense of self.
I remember being in my room and taking my slider off and dirt going everywhere, and my legs were covered in bruises and scrapes from sliding, and I just like laughed and felt this overwhelming feeling, and I had said to myself, like, I love this game so much.
Sports played a huge part in Meredith's life, and you can tell. She's the one you want on your team. She was one of those kids whose talent was impossible to miss, and the attention that followed carried a quiet message she didn't yet have words for.
I'll say athletics have always been a huge part of my life. And growing up, I remember being the first and only girl on the t-ball team, and playing multiple sports, whether it was gymnastics, volleyball, cheerleading at one point.
Hold up, you were a cheerleader?
Yeah, yeah.
That's amazing.
I was the one doing all the backflips on the basketball courts and down the football field.
Yeah.
That didn't last very long, though,
Okay.
because I would get in trouble for not using my facials.
Oh, I don't even know what that means.
I thought it was stupid.
And when you said that, I thought about like an actual facial. You know, those masks?
No, I wouldn't smile.
Oh, okay. Do you hear that laugh? That's right. Meredith laughs a lot and smiles. So hearing this was like hearing water isn't wet. Meredith is the kind of person who smiles often, who can laugh at herself. And okay, so maybe cheerleading wasn't her sport. However, softball? That's where she found belonging. She gave softball her heart. And in return, softball gave her something too.
An abundance of confidence.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Totally, totally.
And while she was soaking in her bath of confidence, something else was happening. Something quieter. Something subtle. Something that happens for many of us. I'm Dr. Jess Hayden, and you're listening to Simply Heard, The Space Between, a podcast produced by Simply Centered Psychological Services in Raleigh, North Carolina. Today we'll be exploring spaces between hustle and heart, values and goals, obsession and passion. That's where the real work happens, where regulation meets resilience, and the skills we practice start shaping who we become.
I think I learned from a young age, too, that if I played well, then people liked me. And I got lots and lots of positive attention, which then kind of translated into me kind of seeing my worth as my productivity. I'm looking back now, in the moment and during the time, it worked out pretty well, but I'm definitely aware of it now.
And when she says it worked out pretty well, what she means is that it motivated her to practice more, practice harder. It also impacted her in other ways.
I remember in high school, if I didn't hit 4 for 4 in a game, like if I hit 3 for 4 and that one out that I didn't get was a line drive, but someone caught it, you know that I was taking cuts after the game. I would go practice batting practice after the game if I was not perfect.
Did you catch that? Not perfect? Somewhere in the podcast, Meredith talks about perfectionism. And honestly, I can't find it. I have been editing for hours and hours, and I hope that you'll just trust me on this one. Because what Meredith was doing was outsourcing her worth based on her performance. If I play well, people will like me. That means I'm good. That means I'm worthy of love. And what she didn't know was that thinking was destructive. It led to comparison. You know, our friend, the thief of joy. It led to only focusing on the failures, the strikes, the missed catches.
I had a very hard college experience, which we can talk about on a different different pod.
Like I said, Meredith had talent. She practiced hard. Her hard work paid off when she got a scholarship to play Division II softball at Mercyhurst University, where she pursued a Bachelor of Arts in Sports Business Marketing. What Meredith didn't know at the time was that this bad experience would shape who she was today.
And we all talk about too, like how we became therapists. I think that's one of my favorite questions to ask, like colleagues. I was totally the stigma against mental health as a college athlete. And at one point during college, I had actually been mandated to therapy, and we'll get into it later. Okay. And I was so against it. And a teammate had actually convinced me to go, and she said, Meredith, it has helped me so much. And then I went, and I hated every minute of it. And
oh, wait, what did you hate about it?
The emotions. Yeah. I wanted to avoid every single emotion. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to feel them. They were scary and they were hard.
Yeah, I get that. Often we feel like we're going to drown in them. Like it's never going to end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think I was the avoidant. Like I avoided so much until I couldn't anymore.
What Meredith is describing here is so common. Many of us work so hard at avoiding emotion, painful emotions, emotions we don't want to feel, emotions that make us think that we'll be swallowed up by them and never be able to escape. It was so surprising to hear that my friend Meredith, the open, bubbly one, the one who feels comfortable sharing her stories, was the one who avoided.
I was the stonewaller. Yes. And now I'm the therapist.
Yeah. Meredith knows firsthand what this is like, this avoidance, this resistance, that in the sports world, there can be a stigma to going to therapy. That stigma is slowly dissolving away with Simone Biles' story and Michael Phelps, but we have a long way to go. And if you're someone who's afraid of going to therapy or you don't think it will help, I get it. Therapy can feel really intimidating. Opening up to a stranger about your inner world, that's no small thing. But therapy isn't about being fixed. It's about being seen and heard by someone who won't judge you, someone who can help you see your behavioral patterns, someone who will help you reach your goals, not theirs. It's a place where you'll learn the tools to manage your emotions, to learn to tolerate hard things, to be a better listener, a better communicator, a better friend to yourself and to others. And if you find yourself stuck, here's what Meredith would say.
Keep going. Like, keep going to therapy. Like, I would keep going because I had to. And then I would cry on the couch the entire time. But I would keep going. And then I started to see the value in it.
I was still a little shocked to hear this because Meredith is one of those people, when you sit down with her, you just want to tell her everything. She feels safe. So to hear this was another one of those water isn't wet moments.
Had just had a phone call with my first therapist that I saw just to like say hi. And I told her about my education and where I'm at now, and she thought it was so ironic.
And I want to pause here because Meredith is a great therapist. We were about an hour into our recording session when I started feeling overwhelmed.
It's okay, you're doing great, buddy.
I feel like I'm gonna have to edit a lot of stuff out of this.
Are you anxious?
I don't think so.
Are you tense?
Ooh, let me check.
Oh,
maybe.
There go the shoulders down about 3 inches.
Yes, I am a little anxious.
Just like when we're talking.
Thanks, Mare. Coach me.
Oh my gosh, how the tables have turned.
I know. What she's referring to here is her relationship with imposter syndrome. As a young clinician, I'd often catch her saying things like, I don't know what I'm doing. Do you think I should refer this person to you? Or I'm not sure I'm helping.
In grad school, you don't really have time to think. And I don't know, I feel like my experience was I kind of got thrown into community counseling. It's like, here you go, here's your full caseload. And And I also had a graduate assistant position as well. So I was very busy. And the imposter syndrome didn't really come until I got my first job. And that was after I had moved halfway across the country and went to a practice where mostly everyone was about 20 years older than me. So I had a lot of very seasoned, very intelligent, very knowledgeable people to learn from very early on. And of course, I compared myself.
Social comparison.
Right.
Yep. Imposter syndrome, it's not really a personality flaw. It's the mind's trick of filtering out evidence of your competence and amplifying every doubt or mistake. You're not faking it. You're just caught in a mental habit that confuses feeling inadequate with being inadequate. Spoiler alert, this is one of those cognitive distortions that we'll touch on in a little bit. And you know how I told you that Meredith is a great therapist? She is. She has a special interest in working with athletes at all levels, and she's intensively trained in dialectical behavior therapy, or DBT for short. I could talk about DBT forever. And since we only have a little bit of time here, I'm going to give you the long of the short. Hold up, because we're about to get emotional. No, we're not going to cry, at least not in this episode. We'll talk about how to turn down the volume on emotion when it's running the show, how to notice when your thoughts are being, let's just say, a little creative, and how to avoid adding fuel to someone else's emotional wildfire. So if that's not your thing, you can stop listening now. And you know me, I'm still going to gently nudge you to stay open, to listen, because you might actually learn something new, or at least walk away with one skill you can use today. So if you're into learning, stay with me. The underlying philosophy of DBT hinges on balancing acceptance and change. We recognize that two opposite things can be true at the same time, that there are no absolutes, that our thoughts, emotions, urges to act on those emotions, physiological response to emotion, all make sense given past experiences and biology. We sit on teams for consultation and therapy for the therapist. Because let's be honest, our work is hard sometimes, and we all need therapy. And we don't pretend to know everything. I could give you all the technical terms that we teach in DBT, but it all boils down to this. In DBT, we teach practical skills for managing emotions, staying present, and building healthier relationships, so life feels less like constant survival and more like choice. So if you find yourself running hot, like your emotions are running the show, if you feel like you're in constant conflict with friends, family members, children, partners, or if life just doesn't feel worth it sometimes, DBT could be for you.
And I just wish that I had those skills when I was a little kid and I could catch those cognitive distortions coming up. And Go ahead.
What's a cognitive distortion? Because I don't know if all of our listeners know what that is.
Cognitive distortion is basically just a thinking mistake. Something you tell yourself that's untrue. A lot of the time we think something over and over and over again, and our brain tells us that it's true when it's really not.
Yeah, our brain lies to us a lot.
a lot. And back when we teach DBT, I love that portion. And I even tell the kids straight up, I certainly have black and white thinking. I also have that mind reading in the sense that I think that I know what other people are feeling. And I walk into a room and I can read someone's face and I just automatically assume that they're having a bad day.
Okay. Somebody might be even kind of take a quick glance at you and you're like, oh, they're giving me the stink eye.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. And then on the sports side of it, when we talk about perfectionism, I think a lot of us perfectionists very much so disqualify the positive. And thinking back to sports I know we're on the train of softball right now.
Phew, I found it. Remember? Perfectionism? That portion I thought I lost? Meredith goes on to tell that story. You know the one about how if she wasn't perfect, she'd go hit the batting cages and practice for hours? And then she tells this story, a great example of disqualifying the positive.
And even the silly things too. Oh my gosh, my friends are probably going to listen to this and they're going to giggle. But I use this example when I teach these cognitive distortions of this disqualifying the positive because I relate to it so much. And it was so funny. We were in college and I remember posting a stupid picture on Instagram and getting all of this positive feedback. And one person made a joke about the way that my neck was in the picture. And I was like, oh my gosh, okay, nope, bad negative review. We got to take it down. And my friend had said to me, Meredith, like, what do you mean? Like, you got so much like positive reinforcement and the one thing is what you're going to hang on.
Yep. And all that we do, and we get that like one
We
feedback,
get stuck.
is we get stuck on it, looping it over and over again. I'm saying this because I know personally.
I think that's very common in, again, perfectionists, high achieving people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And again, like on the other side of that, I think it's a good thing that we have that, right? Because it's like, this is what's holding us accountable. This is what's making us better. So I think it's like a balance of kind of recognizing that, acknowledging it, and then moving on.
This is something we do in DBT often. Meredith just pointed out the dialectic. The two opposite things can be true at the same time. Because this thinking error motivated you to practice harder, to want to do better. And at what point does it motivate us to self-destruction?
Again, like when we get stuck on it, right? And then when we aren't able to see our successes, I think that is when self-destruction starts. And these cognitive distortions start to ramp up too. And once we get on those cognitive distortions, it's hard to get off that slippery slide.
Yeah. So as you're talking about that, I'm thinking, how do we help people notice when they're kind of stuck in a loop of cognitive distortions, like what we talked about, black and white thinking? That's like, it's either yes or no. It fits in a perfect box or it doesn't. Or catastrophic thinking, that would be like, oh, if I don't get to work on time, I'm going to get fired, basically, even though I've never been late to work. I'm trying to think of, the mind reading is thinking that you know what other people are thinking or feeling, like you know what they're, and also, by the way, everybody, we can never know what anyone is thinking or feeling. Even when they tell us, they might not be being honest with us, and we have to be okay with that. We have to be okay with the uncertainty of that. That's a sidebar.
Labeling. Oh my gosh, labeling is a big one too.
Yes.
I'm an idiot. Oh my gosh, I should have gone for
the shoulds.
Before. Oh, don't should on yourself, guys.
Yeah, that's right. That's our DBT saying. How do we help people catch themselves? Because we just said earlier on in our podcast, we said, our brain lies to us a lot. So how do I know when my brain is being honest with me and showing me truth? And how do I know when it's being sneaky? Like, how do we teach that to people? I mean, I guess I shouldn't say how do we, like, how do you teach that to people? I know how I teach it to people.
I want to hear how you teach it, but I usually, I think that a lot of the time when we think these things, and again, like our brain tells us that this is true. I know it's absurd. I know you're telling yourself you're an idiot, and guess what? You are. That's what our brain's saying. And then we say it out loud, and then it kind of sounds a little bit silly. So, again, talking about it, like saying it out loud, also checking in with our wise mind. You should talk about wise mind really quick.
Don't shit on me.
That was a good one. Let's reframe that. I think the listeners would really benefit from a wise mind explanation.
Wise mind is the place inside you where logic and emotion stop competing and start collaborating. It's the overlap, the quieter middle between emotion mind, where feelings take the wheel, and reasonable mind, where logic is the ruler. Wise mind sounds like, yes, I'm overwhelmed, and I can choose what I do next. Yes, I feel hurt, and I can respond instead of react. It's that calm, steady voice that shows up when you pause. Not the loud one, not the dramatic one, the grounded one. Wise mind is where you make choices that align with your values instead of on impulse. It's the place you go when you want to respond on purpose rather than repeat old patterns. It's that place where we make choices based on our short-term and long-term goals, as well as our values. I think that one of the things that really helped me with DBT was practicing mindfulness and mindfulness of my current thoughts, and then like kind of categorizing them. So anytime that like always or never or should shows up in my
definitive words.
brain, right? Yeah, definitive, like all or nothing words, that I can label those as being judgments. Like, oh, that's a judgment that I'm having. Or like anything that I can't actually observe. So really focusing on like what I can observe. And instead of, you know, like if I walk into a room and somebody has a frown on their face, and if I notice it, instead of going, oh, they're in a bad mood, or what's up with that face, you know, I can just, all I do is say to myself, they have a crinkle in their brow, or their lips are turned down, or they looked away when I walked in the room.
Right. I mean, and then also too, like we can observe someone crying and have the judgment that they are sad when they could be crying tears of joy.
That's right. Or anger.
Or anger.
Yeah.
I cry when I'm angry.
Same. What are some other ways you might teach people to catch these thinking mistakes?
I don't know. Let's see. I think going through them, like reading them out, is how we become aware. I like to go through them with the person and give examples, and also like recognize when we are there and then telling our brain to stop and kind of check in with the reason and the facts of the situation of like what is going on.
I'm going to put a link to some common thinking errors in the description because here's my judgment. There are way too many to talk about here. One of the things also that I've thought of is often when you start to notice yourself like labeling yourself. So like if you're saying like, I am this or I am that, then you can catch yourself. Our brain likes to trick us into believing that our opinions of ourselves are facts. The higher opinion of ourselves, the higher our self-esteem, the higher our confidence, and the more negative opinion of ourselves, we will have lower self-esteem and lower confidence, which leads to depression and anxiety, which then impacts our behavior. And if we're not feeling too great about ourselves, we're not going to act towards our goals. We're going to probably act in ways that go against what our goals are or our values are. For example, if I'm thinking, I'm so stupid, then I might not study as hard for the test because what's the point? Or if I'm thinking, I'm such a bad friend, I might not respond to text messages and further damage my relationship with my friend, who I may actually value and cherish. If I can fit the label of myself into a good or bad category, it's probably an opinion.
I think another like indicator too is when we do catch ourselves labeling, we might notice the emotion that we have, whether that is, I don't know, a lot of the time fear of failure pops up.
Ooh.
Or anger at yourself, anger at others, or the fear that lies within the anger, because that's usually where it happens.
Remember when I promised you I wouldn't have a coughing fit in the microphone? Yeah, well, you're welcome, because that just happened and we had to pause recording. So the editing is a little bit funky here.
Oh, okay, let me go back, because I want to finish what I was saying about the labeling and the I ams. I am bad. I am not good enough. I am going to fail, and whatever, on we go. I think that when we start doing that, the emotion that we feel gets bigger. And I think that's an indicator of thinking mistake too, of like when you notice this emotion get bigger. And usually when our emotions get bigger, our window of tolerance kind of closes a bit, and the emotions within our environment or external things that are happening within our environment become much harder to deal with. And we start acting maybe outside of our values. Maybe when we strike out, we slam a bat or we throw our helmet against the dugout. And if you're part of the game and you love the game, I think one of your values might be to respect your equipment.
Yeah. And here's where I, big breath, pause. Because this episode is packed to the gills and I want to keep your attention. So we're going to leave it here for now. And Meredith and I, we're not done. There's more we want to dig into, more skills we want to unpack, and more stories that deserve a little more airtime. So stay tuned. This one's definitely to be continued next week. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. In the meantime, if you'd like to work with Meredith, or maybe you think your child would benefit from working with her, You can find her at 3C Family Services in Morrisville, North Carolina. And if you live in North Carolina, but nowhere near Morrisville, don't worry, Meredith does telehealth too. And you can find me at Simply Centered Psychological Services in Raleigh, North Carolina. I'll drop all the links in the description. Simply Heard, the space between, is meant for educational purposes only, and it's not a replacement for therapy. If you find yourself struggling or need immediate help, dial 988 for the Suicide and Crisis Hotline. Thanks for listening. Until next week, take care.